Hello and welcome. Today we want to solve the Cambridge International AS and A-Level Information Technology spreadsheet task for paper 4 advanced practical for the May-June 2022. Okay, so let's go to the question. It's task 3. Students at Tawara High School can be awarded merits for good performance or demerits for poor performance in these 5 categories: academic, behavior, arts, social, sports. All students are members of one or 4 houses: Lerathon, Dunster, TAP, and Mali. The merits.csv file contains the merits and demerits awarded to students in January and February 2022. Open and examine merits.csv and use this to create a spreadsheet dashboard. As a dashboard looks like this. Okay. So this is the dashboard that we are supposed to create. It's going to look like this. Note the totals and values shown in the examples are not correct for the data in the source file. Okay, so that we don't copy and just create this using these values. So they are notifying us, or the paper is notifying us so that we know that we are supposed to use the source file. Okay, but this is the final look that we should create. The dashboard must display tables and charts as shown in these examples. For example, 1, tables showing the number of merits and demerits awarded to each house and the number awarded by each member of staff. Okay, so these are the 3 tables that we're supposed to create. These tables must be dynamic. Okay, so the best way is to use pivot tables. So pivot tables allow us to aggregate data or to consolidate data using either our sum, our count, our average. So the data that we'll be having, we can then now consolidate according to Larathon, and we have the total for that one. For Dunster, we have the total for that one. And then we can also do the same for merits, and we can also do the same for the merits and demerits according to staff. Okay, so we want to do those tables. Then example 2, charts showing the number of merits and demerits awarded to each house and the number awarded by each staff, by each member of staff. Okay, so the next thing is to create the charts like this. Okay, so you can see that when we are looking at the charts, they have a background of a gradient, yellow to white, and all of them, and the bars are blue, and these ones bars are green, and the other one is orange, and these are the titles that are written on them. Okay, and then the totals, not the totals and values shown in the examples are not correct for the data in the source. Okay, so the data that is given also on this one is not correct. We are supposed to use the source file. So we can start by creating these tables first. Okay, so we'll be going to our merits. So when we open our merits CSV, I prefer to always click that triangle to highlight all my data. And then I double click between 2 columns so that all the columns are expanded. I can see everything in each cell clearly so that I can be able to work in them easily. Okay, so this is the data that we've been supplied and we've been asked to open and examine. So that's how we open, and then we're now seeing, okay, we have merits, demerits, okay, and house. These are the information that we are going to use to create our pivot tables. And we have all these other tables, other columns as well. So this is column headings, and these are the data for each column. Okay. So if I want to create my pivot table now, as expected, I'm going to say, okay, so for the first one that I need to create this table with the house and merits. So these are the rows, right? So these are the rows. So I'm saying, okay, house is going to contain the rows that I need. And I have one column called merits. Okay, so we will go there. And now we want to create our pivot table, right? So we are saying we go to insert, we've opened our merits, and we are saying we want to create a pivot table. So uh, this window is going to then pop up on the screen where it says create a pivot table. Choose the data that you want to analyze. Okay, so the first thing is to select a table range. So you select the table that you want to use for your data, right? So I'm just going to put this outside there. And then I'm going to then select, right? As we are selecting, you can see that I'm just clicking and dragging to highlight the area. So I'm just going to highlight everything, right? And then it's now saying in the merits sheet, we have highlighted A1 to I4 to 7. That's the information we have. So if we have such a big information, it's easier to just use pivot tables to create our aggregates. Okay, and then I'm going to say I want my pivot table to be on a different worksheet. Okay, so I'm going to select different worksheet so that this one is not modified. Nothing is going to be on this sheet. I just want it to be created on a different worksheet. Okay, then I say okay. So it's going to go and open a new sheet. You can see I have my merits, but it has created a new sheet for me. And it's ready to create a pivot table, right? And then this side, I have pivot table fields. And then these are the field names that we have seen when we opened our merits sheet, it has these tables and the data. So this is the area that we are going to be using to create our pivot table. So we have rows and the values. So the values, they come under the columns. So we are going to say, I want the house. So because we are going to just take house and then put it under rows because we said we want the houses, right? And then we want the merits. So I'm going to take it and put it there on merits. All right. Okay. So because I want total of merits, I don't want to count the cells that contain any values under merits, right? I want the total. So I'm going to click on that arrow, go to field settings, value field settings. So we're saying we can do all this and you can scroll your bar here to see other options that we have that we can use pivot tables. Right now it's selected on count, that's why it's saying count, but we are going to select on sum so that it's going to show us sum, but you can do a min, a max, okay, all of that. So we are going to click that and it's going to write sum of merits and it's going to automatically create this pivot table for us. So it has added all the merits for Danistar, for Larathon, for Mali, for Turkey. Okay, so when we now want to represent exactly as it is, you can see that from the question paper, Danistar is on the second row. Okay, it's on the second row. So we would want also to show that on a second row. So you just click on it and then you go to move. It is an option to move down. Okay, so it's going to move down and then Larathon will go on top. Okay, so this is the pivot table that we have created. We are now going to go and create another one. So open the question paper. We want house again and demerits. Okay, so we go back to our merits sheet and we go and say let's scroll up so that it's going to be easy for us. Okay, so we're going to say insert pivot table. We select the range like we did. This is the range, the area that we want to use. Okay, and then we also want it to be on a different worksheet. And then we are going to select house like we did, but right now we want demerits, right? We are going to do the same to make sure that it's summing up to have the total of demerits. So that's our pivot table. Let's go to the, now we want staff merits and demerits. So we are going to go back, go to our merits. We are going to highlight and create another one. So we are going to go to our insert pivot table, and then we are going to create again, select again, new worksheet, okay. And then we are going to go to our awarded by, this is our staff, and we are going to put it under the rows. And then we want the merits, and we want the demerits. And remember, we need to make sure that it's doing what we want. We want it to be summing. So we are going to click on sum, okay. Sum, and then we say, okay, so this is our table for the merits, okay. And then after that, we are supposed to, let's go back to a piece of paper. So these are the tables that we're supposed to create, and we are supposed to also create the charts, okay, like this. So we are going to go back to our information, and in our chart tree, this is the information that we have. So we are going to create a chart for this one, highlight our data, go to insert, create the chart. Okay, so this is the chart that we have created from the data, and we have to make sure that it looks like the one that we are given. And from the one that we are given, it has a gradient. So we start by putting the gradient that is showing on our charts. And then we'll put the chart title as expected. And we don't have those buttons from our question paper. So it just needs to be merits awarded to date. That's the name of the heading. And we are not seeing any other thing. There's no legend or key or any other information that is showing. So we'll go back. Now for us to remove this, we are going to just right click, and we are saying hide all food buttons, because these are buttons, so we don't want them to be shown. We're hiding them. And then the total, we don't want to see it, so you can even delete it so that it looks like that. And then our title, it has to be, let's look at it again. Merits awarded to date. Okay, so we have to type that. Merits awarded Let's see. Oh, that one is a small letter. Okay, merits. Okay. So we need to make sure that it's following exactly as it is. And then okay, so this is our chart that we have here. Okay. So right now we want to put the gradient. Now that we are happy with that, we want to put the gradient fill. So on the fill, we're saying we want to put the gradient, and these are the stops that we are going to use. The ones that we don't need to be using, we can click them and click that to delete the stoppers. And that one, we need it to be yellow. Okay, so you just drag the okay. So you're just adjusting to make sure that your gradient fill is filling up the way you want. Okay, so dark yellow going lighter until it shows white. Let's check again on the question paper. Okay. Then we are going to go back. And then we want to create the chart for the demerits again. And then the total is supposed to be demerits. Demerits awarded to date. That's our title. And then we remove hide all food buttons so that they go away. And we remove the legend as well. So this is and then we go to our gradient fill. So the moment you just click on gradient fill, because it already carries the settings that we had done, it's just going to create it like that. And then we are going to go to our sheet 4. We create again for this one. Insert chart. Okay, so this is the chart that we have. And then we are going to hide field buttons. And then let's check. These ones are needed, the gradient again, and then the title is merits/demerits awarded by staff to date. Okay. So this is the gradient option, and it's going to be like that. Then we want to go to and add the chart title. And then in the chart title, we are going to say merits slash demerits awarded Let's check awarded by staff to date. Okay. Awarded by staff to date. Okay. So this is the heading that we have. Okay, so this is the chart. So now that we have this information, we now want to create the dashboard. Okay, so we can create the dashboard on a new sheet, and we are now going to be just copying the information that we have created and pasting it on the dashboard. And this is how the dashboard should look like, right? So with the data that we have created, we need to make sure it looks like this. Okay. So we are going to now make sure we are going to paste our information. This one is starting at row 5. The next one will start at row 11. The next one will start at row 17. Okay, so let's do that. So in our new sheet, the background color is blue. So we can highlight everything. And then we want to put our color. Okay, so we are going to use a fill. Blue. Okay, and then we are going to go on row 5. That's where we want to paste our first table, this information. So we're going to highlight. We copy, and then we go to our sheet 1, and then we paste. But we are going to paste as link, right? So that it carries the formulas for the pivot table, right? And then we paste it there. And then we are going to go on row 11. And then we want to paste the next one for the demerit. Copy, paste. And then we go to row 17. We want to copy this one. And we want to paste a link there. Okay. So now we want to type our house. And then that's merit, and then house. That's Gmail. Then awarded, but this is stuff. This is merits by staff. And these are demerits by staff. Okay, so we want to format it. So this part here should be white. We press Control, and then we highlight the next area. So we're highlighting the area that we want to put a white formatting for now. Okay. Okay, you can just click and drag. Okay, so we are going to say we want a white for that. And then for this one, we want it to be green. Okay. This one has to be red. Okay. We can check with our question paper again so that, okay, and we can see that these cells, they have borders. Okay, so we need to show those borders again. So if we highlight our area, we go to borders and we want to select all borders. Okay. We want all borders again for that area. And we want all borders again. Okay. And this is our heading, Tawara High School, merit/demerits. Okay, it should be there. So we can go and select, we can see that our row one is actually increased. So we can go to our row one and go to our E to R, and then we put that title, and then we bring in our charts, Tawara High School merit/demerit records. Tawara, okay, is it in caps? Okay. Okay, so this is our heading, and we want it to run to R. It's in our row one, and our row one is actually increased a bit. And we want it to run up to R, and then the color of the text has to be yellow, and it seems we need to match, and then the size, we told the size to put our text. Okay, all text. So we're supposed to use this when we are setting now. All text is sans serif, all text is bold. The dashboard heading, 36-point chart headings, 14-point, all other text, 12-point background, table, columns, color is shown. Okay, so we've done the colors that they want. So our heading should be 36, but all our text in there should be 12 point. Okay. So we can start by just selecting everything and make sure that our size is 12. And let's use area. Okay, so the text should be sans serif. So sans means without, serif means loop, so without loop. So we chose area. And then this one was asked to be 36 point. Okay, so we increase the height of our row one again so that we can clearly see the data. Okay, and now we want to bring in our so we want our information to be clearly shown. Okay, now we want to bring in our charts. So we are starting with the merits. We click, right click, we copy, and then we go and paste in the dashboard. And then we want to bring in the second one for the demerits. Okay, it's not copied. Right click, copy. Let's go with it to the dashboard. And then we paste again. Okay, and then we want to go and bring this one. And then we go to our dashboard and paste it below. Now we have our data. We want this one to stretch we want it to reach this size. Okay, so we try by all means to make sure that we will be matching what is shown on the question paper. Okay, our information, and then our headings has been asked to be 14. It's 14, and we click there, it's 14, and we click that heading, it's 14 as well. Okay, so with this, we can say we are done with our first part of the question, and we have shown exactly as it's needed. The other thing is to also check on alignment. So let's quickly check. Okay, so you can see that the merits, the values are center aligned, and these ones are left aligned. That's another thing that we need to also to be careful and not lose marks because of that. So this column And this column, they are center aligned. The information is center aligned. So we are going to center. And then it was also mentioned that all text is bold, right? So those are the other marks that we should never miss, okay? Because it will show that is it bold, and then if it's not bold, we will lose marks for that. We will lose a mark, and we don't want to lose a mark because of a simple formatting. Okay, so this is our information, our table that we have created, okay, with the formattings as expected. Okay, so this is our data, and we can also rename our sheets. Remember, we are going to send a soft copy of our information. So if our information is labeled correctly, it's also good for us. So this is merits, pivot, and this is demerits. And then this one, rename, this is staff. Okay, so this is our information. Let's go back to our question paper. Okay, now it says save the workbook as Jan, Feb, merits followed by a center number and candidate. Okay, so this is very important. Save the workbook, right? So this is an Excel workbook. Make sure that you save it as Excel so that we keep all the functions, formattings that we have done. Okay, so it's Jan, Feb, merits. That's the name of the cell, Jan, Feb, merits. And it's also important that you save it in the folder that has everything. Be careful when you are saving. Save it, all your information in the folder that you are working on, where all your information is going to be. Okay. So this is Jan, Feb. Merits, and let's save it as a workbook, right? So that we keep our information formattings. Okay, so we can now go to our question paper. So we are done with the first part. Let's move to the next one for our task 4. So our task 4 is saying update the Jan Feb merits data with the records in the March merits.csv. So we have another March merits, so we need to update and add the data that came from the March. Save the workbook as merits first quarter, right? Okay, so this is the name that we're supposed to save the new one as, followed by a center number and candidate number. Always make sure that you put your center number and candidate number on your details. Okay, so we are now going to our merits information, and we need to update with our March. So we are opening our March. This is our March information. Always want us to highlight and maximize so that you can actually see the headings are the same. It's just the new data for the new month of March. So we are just going to copy the details, leaving out the headings because we already have the headings. We just want to go and edit. So copy, that's the information. And then when we copy, we want it to be added to our merits for the January and February. So we are going to go on the last line and then we paste the values, right? So now we have the values. And when we have pasted this, we've been asked to then save it as, okay, so we've been asked to save it as, let's see the question paper. Save this workbook as merits, first quarter 2022. Okay, so I can just highlight it. Okay. Okay, we'll just type it, merits, first quarter 2022. Okay. Okay, so what we can do is we can save this now as merits 2022. Okay, is it in capital letter? Okay, first quarter, okay. Just the Q is in capital letter. Okay, so this one is just merits, and we are going to save it as that. Okay. Okay, so this is now, we want to rename this one to be January, February, March, so that we know Jan, Feb, March. So this is now representing data for January, Feb, and March. Okay, this table now. Okay, and then we still have our dashboard there. Okay. So we go back to our, now amend the dashboard so that users may select to view merits and demerits data. So we need to bring in a button. Okay, remember we removed the button earlier from our charts, so we need to bring in the months filter button. Select months must be automatically displayed in these tables. The vertical axis for the merits chart must be fixed as 0 to 35. Okay, so these merits, and then monthly data. The monthly data selected must automatically be displayed on the charts. Okay. So we want to add on those ones. This one, it doesn't carry any change. Okay. And we can see that the heading was also changed, made its total for March. Okay. And the March is not in full, it's MAR. And we can see that one is MAR again. So it means that when we are putting our formatting for the day, for the month, we need to make sure that it's in that format. Okay, so we need to bring in we need to go back to our sheet and go to our February, March, we need to bring in a column that will help us to have an option to select a month. Okay, so we are going to then use the text function to create the months. Okay. And then we are going to say equals text. And then we want to, so the text function is the one that we use when we want to find out if we want to put a formatting or we want to show a number in a text format. Okay, so we are saying whatever number that if you want to show it in text, you use your text function, and then you put the value that you want to show as text, and then after that you then put your comma, and then you put the formatting that you want to show. Okay, so for now we want to just show the month. So the formatting, we use 3Ms. Why? Because we want to maintain that MR that we saw, right? And then we quote and we close the bracket, okay? So that it gives us the month that we need, okay? There's a problem. Okay, let's retype it and see what problem is it showing. Okay, convert a value to text in a specific number format. Okay, so we're saying the value, this is the value, and then we put the comma, then we put the quotes, and then inside the quotes we put the formatting that we want to use. Okay, so we want to convert that okay into a format. Okay, so what we are seeing right now is that it's starting with, these dates are starting with, uh, they're starting with the month, the day, and the year. Okay, of which it will be preferred to start with the day, the month, and then the year, so that it gives us the information which is going to be correct. Okay. We want to scroll down and see if it gave us correct. Okay, it managed to pick that those are the, okay, so that's correct. We have our information correct like that. We've used our text function to create. So now we need to adjust our pivot tables, right? So we go to our pivot table, we go to analyze, we want to analyze the pivot table that we have. So we go to our pivot, we select, and then we go to analyze, and we want to say we want to change the data source for this information. We want to select everything now. So we are just changing. Like that. So this is now the table, and you can see that the sum of merits have also changed. They've also included for the March. Okay. And our chart is also changed. We can see now it's also showing up to that, but we have been told that this has to make sure that it's ending at 350. Okay, so we click on the column and we change this maximum to 350. Okay, so that it will only use that one as the maximum, which is 350. Okay, and then we go to our demerits again. We go and analyze, and then as we analyze, we want to change the data source so that it also includes the month column that we created and also data up to the end of March. Okay, so that's our results. Okay, and then that's our data. Now we can go back to our dashboard and you can see that it is also adjusted to show the data. Okay, and this one we can change this one again. Okay, so this is the data. You can see that this information is changed. Remember, we have been asked to make it dynamic, so that's why we pasted as a link so that any adjustments that we make, they are also going to show. Okay, so this is the information that we have. So we now want to include the option for us to select the month. Okay, so we are now saying our chart that we have, it has to now allow us to create or to change and make changes and bring in, we want to bring in the data that we had, right? We want to make sure that the buttons that we had come out, and then we can see that on field buttons we had selected to hide all. So we want to untick so that they can be shown again, right? So these are the buttons that we had hit. Okay, so we want to go back to our pivot. Okay, so this one is now showing data for everything, right? So now we want to say, okay, we want to include, we want to make a change to our data on the pivot table, right? So that we also bring in the, we want to bring in the fields, right? We want to bring in the fields so that we can make changes to our data, right? The field that we want to bring in month. So the month, it has to come, but it has to come as a filter, right? So we are going to bring in the month to our filter because we said we want to make sure that when we use a filter, we can select from the person saying so that people can select and the information is automatically changing because this table is, this chart is based on this table. And when we change to filter with February month, it's just going to show information for the February month only. Okay, so this is our chart that we had created, and we said our chart, we would want it to also show the buttons, right, that we have hit. So all of these buttons are the buttons. Now you can see that the month button is now coming up because we have added it to the filters. So it's now part of the buttons that can come out, right? We have the house, we have the sum of merits, and these are sum of merits, month, house, but we don't want the other ones, right? So these ones are the ones that we don't want to see. So you can then use selection or hiding to just select only that area that you don't want, right? And then we remain with this so that we can use this option to select for a month, or to say we want to show for March, for example, and then it's going to change to the month of March, and then that one is going to also give us a month of March. Okay, but all this should be showing in our dashboard, right? So all this should be showing in our dashboard. So we are now saying these are the dashboards that we have created. Now we want to make these changes on our dashboard. So we are going to say on this one, you can see that it's now showing the month because we just pasted the that we used there, and then we can now selectively hide a field button. Select that one. Also hide this one, so that it only shows that information on. Okay, and then we want to do the same for our merits, right? So on our merits, we also want to make sure that the month is also selected as a filter so that we can have 3 buttons, right? And then we go to our buttons. We now want to unhide all of them, right? We can click that one. We no longer need to be seeing it. And then we now select one by one, hide field button for that one, and then also hide that one. So that we only have that information on, okay, from our button. So we have added a filter. Now the other thing is now to then make sure that those headings, they also adjust to the month that would be selected. Okay, so we can now say, okay, it can be easier for us to work from this option, and then we are going to say for our merits, we are now creating heading for the merits, and then heading for the G merits heading. Okay, so we are going to say equals concatenate. So concatenate is a function that we have learned that we use when we want to combine things together. So we are going to give in our text that we want to use inside the quotes. So we will look at the question paper and see it has to be merits total 4. And then that one has to be demerits total 4. And then it brings the month. Okay. Merits total 4. And then it brings in the month. Right. So we are saying we are going to put we can put our ampersand. Oh, and then we put the name of the cell. Then we close. Okay. So let's test that one. Mary's total 4. You can see that there is no space there. So you can put space after the word 4 to create the feeling of space. So Mary's total 4. And this has to be center aligned, ripped. Okay. So that it shows as it is supposed to be. So we are going to also just do that, and then let's just change where it says merits to demerits. demerits total for, and then okay, so this is the formatting demerits merits total for and demerits total for. So this one has to be in our demerits. Okay, so this one is for our merits, and this one is going to be for our demerits. The pivot name should be demerits, so that it picks for this. Right, so now it's picking for this sheet demerits pivot table. Okay, so we are now going to say in our dashboard, this is the information. So we are going to go to the dashboard now and say, whatever we want to see this one, we no longer want to see this one, but we want to say this is equal to our merits. This, whatever is going to show on that one. And then let's wrap the text. Okay, so if we are going to change there and select all, yes, so it's showing total, merits total for all, and then it shows merits. So you can always change to C for each month. So it's now selective merits total for this, and then it shows for that. Okay, and then we need to also do it for our demerits. So demerits now, we are removing the word demerits, and then we are going to go to our demerits and select the function that we wrote. Okay, we go to our demerits. Okay, we have to start by saying this is equals to what we have in our demerits, this cell, so that it takes information from that cell, and then it has to be demerits total for. Okay. So when we also select for the demerits, we want to say if we change here and go to match and select, it should say demerits total for match. Okay, so this is what we expect to be seen. Okay, so merits total for Feb, demerits total for March. So it's also updated to that. And then the headings also needs to be changing. Okay, so we also want to say on this one, the formula also is merits awarded to, let's also check. It has to be merits awarded for month, and then it picks the month. Okay. Merits awarded for month. Let's recheck. merits awarded for month. M is capital letter, A is capital letter again. So we need to put a capital letter there. So it's merits awarded, and then we no longer want to see the to date. We just want to see for month, and then we have the month. Okay, for month, and then we see the month. Okay, so this is the text. We just want to take that text and say equals concatenate the text and inside our quotes we are going to put the text that we copied. Okay, let's just type it, merits for month, and then we, okay, so if we put a space there, we're just making sure that there is some space after the word, and then we put our ampersand, comma, and then we write the month that would have been chosen. Okay, so we are saying which month has been chosen. So this is for our merits. So the month, the month, and then we close the bracket. Okay, let's check what has been picked up. Okay, we can actually just call the selected month. Okay, so we can just pick a selected month, and then we put a month uh, from our filter. Okay. Okay, so we've just resolved that instead of writing the concatenate function in the concatenate function in the title tag, okay, we are just going to go to our title tag, and then we say equals, and then we go to the merit pivot, and then we equal to the cell like we did uh, for the merits total for Feb. Okay, so we just did that. And then in this cell, that's when we wrote the function equals concatenate merits awarded, and then we put B1. So it's going to be selecting from the, like what we did for the totals. Okay, so we are going to do the same for our demerits. Okay, so we are going to go on our dashboard again. We don't want that one for now. So we want to say this one, we want to remove that. And then we go and say equals. Then we go to our demerits pivot table, and then we equals it to a cell. Okay, so now it's showing nothing because we equaled it to a cell that has nothing for now. So we are just going to say, okay, in this one, we now want to put the heading, and we are going to say total. Let's copy the correct way. Merits awarded for month. So this is demerits awarded for month. Demerits awarded for month. We put a space after, and then here we need it to pick from B1. Okay, so we are saying demerits awarded for, and then it has to show for months of March. So from our dashboard, now we are saying on the chart title, it should now show us on the chart title. We now want to have, this is for our demerits. We now want it to go there and say equals. And then when we go to equals, we now want to go to demerits, and we want it to equal that. Okay, it's taking away our function equals this. Right. So instead of writing total now, it is to write merits awarded for the month of March. Okay. So let's see if it's telling demerits awarded for month Ma. Okay. So that's what we want. And merits awarded for month Ma. Okay. So this is what we are expected to do. Now you can see that the final product now, it also adjusts to the filters that we select. So if we say for all, and then we say okay, so it means demerits, it is going to show demerits for all, right? And then our pivot table is also going to say demerits total for all. But here it's also showing demerits awarded for month all. Okay, so all months are selected. So it's now changing, it's now filtering according to what will be asked by the user of this pivot table model. Okay, so this is it for now. Thank you for watching. The last thing that we might have, it's just left. Let's just scroll to see if there's anything. Save your workbook. Okay, so it's done. You can resave, which is you can just say Control S, and then you save your workbook, okay, from your keyboard, and you have saved your information. Okay, thank you for watching.